I've gotten to the point here where the sprocket's on. As you can see, I had to put some of the banana clips on the outside of the sprocket instead of the inside of the sprocket like it showed, but it worked out alright. I did have to adjust the brake lever. There you can see I had to bend it out a little bit. I might even straighten it out a little bit more so I can strap it down. You got to make sure on these coaster brakes that you don't accidentally loosen the axle up and have the whole hub wobble. I did that. I had to take it back apart and put it back together till I got it tight, and not too tight. It's got to turn freely, but it can't wobble, and then it can't have a bunch of any play. Another thing that happens when you change this crank out here to the wider crank, which I've already done, is you end up with a different size sprocket. This sprocket's just slightly larger than that sprocket, and so if you do that, you're going to have, or if you have a 5-speed derailleur in the back, you may or may not have to shorten your chain or lengthen your chain depending on the sprocket change. With the derailleur system, you probably won't, because the derailleur will take up the slack. But on this one here, I was fortunate I didn't have to adjust the length of the chain. Now, one thing to remember on bicycles, other than the nuts that hold these on, any bolts on the left side of the bike have left-handed threads. Anything on the right side of the bike has right-handed threads. For example, this sprocket is held on by the bearing race on the inside here, and it has right-handed threads. And is slightly larger because you have to feed the nut on over here and go in that way. So it's the sprocket, a washer, and then the bearing race, which is also the nut that holds the sprocket on. And then there's the bearing, and then there's another bearing, and then there's another bearing race, and on this side they're left-handed threads, and then a washer with a little cog in it that goes in a slot, and then another nut. And once again, you want this to turn freely, but you don't want it to be tight, but you don't want it to shake and rattle either. You want it to be just run smooth and be just the right tightness, because you don't want to burn up your bearings and work yourself to death trying to pedal it, and you don't want it flopping around where it's going to throw the chain, especially since you're going to be doing 35 miles an hour maximum on this thing, maybe a little faster depending on how you gear it and how much you weigh. You want to make sure this is put together right. And so if you get it together and find out there's a part that you forgot, like I did, I got all these bolts in right here, and I realized I didn't have a washer on the back end of any of them. So I'd take them all back out. I did them one at a time so I didn't lose the location, and put them all back in, so I had them in right, because you don't want to take shortcuts. Because hitting the pavement at 35 miles an hour because you skipped a step can really hurt. No, it does hurt. Ask anybody who's dumped a bike. So you want to be careful to do it right the first time.